In occupied Yenakiyevo, there is a real social collapse. Citizens are holding spontaneous rallies. There is no water for 2 weeks. Communications are destroyed and there is no organized supply. What was promised as liberation in 2014 has turned into a slow humanitarian catastrophe in 2025. In 11 years of occupation, Russia has turned the Ukrainian Donbass into a dying ghetto. In Yunokommunarovsk, part of Yenakiyevo, people recorded video messages in which they say directly, "It is impossible to live in the DPR. Water does not come for 2 weeks, and the supply is absent or chaotic." According to residents, the local water mains have completely fallen apart from old age. Pipes break regularly, and the Russian occupation authorities ignore requests and do not fulfill promises. In response to complaints, formal replies or outright lies, applications are closed with the wording, "Water has started flowing," when the taps are empty. An 85-year-old resident of Yenakiyevo said, "This never happened even after the war. We never lived without water." People remember that even in the most difficult years of independent Ukraine, there was always water. Everything changed with the arrival of the Russian world. For 11 years, not a single new water pipeline, not a single large-scale modernization. They promised to build, but they did nothing. They told us, "Russia will come and restore everything." But with the arrival of Russia, even what worked before does not work. Complain locals. According to Ukrainian blogger Denis Kazansky, no one has elected the authorities in the occupied cities for 11 years. There are no elections, opposition, free press, or real courts. People are completely cut off from the opportunity to influence the situation. When the authorities do not depend on the voter, they do not care about the people. Kazansky noted, the lack of technical water has already led to unsanitary conditions. In hot weather, this could turn into an epidemic. Prices for drinking water have risen to 5 rubles per liter, and the volumes that are sometimes delivered are not even suitable for washing or cleaning. Delivery schedules are disrupted daily, and the local administration is inactive. Residents are forced to record videos and post them on Telegram in the hope that they will be heard. But neither the DPR, nor Russia, nor the defenders of Russian speakers, who in 2014 shouted about a humanitarian catastrophe under Ukraine, are listening to them. The videos from the rally speak for themselves. The streets are mostly filled with old people and women. The youth either fled, died, or were mobilized. The city is dying out before our eyes. Instead of restoration, Russia brought devastation, lack of water, abandoned people, and degradation of infrastructure. One of the most industrial regions of Ukraine has turned into a poor gray zone with no future in 11 years.
An Australian television journalist was hit in the leg by a rubber bullet Sunday while reporting live from downtown Los Angeles on the large-scale protests over President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown and subsequent deployment of California National Guard troops to the city. According to Associated Press, the video shows 9 News correspondent Lauren Tomasi, microphone in hand, reporting live when an officer behind her suddenly raises their firearm and fires a non-lethal round at close range. Tomasi cries out in pain and clutches her lower leg as she and her cameraman quickly move away from the police line. The demonstrations, which began with a few hundred people on Friday, had swelled by Sunday to thousands of people who blocked a major freeway and set several self-driving cars on fire.
After hours of standing off, this situation has now rapidly deteriorated. The LAPD moving in on horseback, firing rubber bullets at protesters, moving them on through the heart of LA.
You just shot the You okay?
I'm good.
Are you okay?
Where did it hit you? Just my leg under.
Fascists! Report that they're fascists! You're okay. You're not okay.
Former spokesman for the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, retired Colonel, military expert Vladislav Zelensky, commented on the new attack on Russian facilities in the Black Sea and the Crimean Bridge. We don't yet know the exact level of damage on the Crimean Bridge because the explosion occurred underwater. Damage is not visible on the surface of the water. It is difficult to say what exactly was damaged underwater. I think the Russians are currently conducting an expert assessment, but they are unlikely to share this data with the general public, he emphasized in an interview with Glavred. The expert says that one of the supports of the automobile part of the Crimean Bridge is probably damaged, but the railway connection apparently was not seriously damaged, so the bridge's capacity has not decreased. It can be assumed that this was a trial run, most likely with the use of an underwater unmanned strike system. I think that in the future, such systems will be used to continue to destroy critically important elements for the functioning of the bridge. In particular, we are talking about the key supports on which the arch of the Kerch Bridge rests, under which all ships heading to the waters of the Sea of Azov and in the opposite direction pass. If these supports are seriously damaged, there will no longer be talk of the usual mode of movement. Transport communication will either be completely stopped or permanently limited, he is sure. The interlocutor clarifies that the defense forces are actively working on implementing this very task. In the case of this operation, the SBU is involved, but undoubtedly a number of other structures were also involved. The Navy, possibly the air component, since explosions were recorded at military airfields in occupied Crimea before the attack. This could have been aimed at reducing the activity of Russian aviation. And, of course, devices such as Sea Baby and Magura V5 also participated and covered the operation from the surface of the water, Zelensky added. It is noted that a gas production platform in the Black Sea, near temporarily occupied Crimea, was on fire. The facility had been used by Russian forces for military purposes. The Crimean Wind Monitoring Group said that a naval engagement occurred in the area. However, details regarding the forces and assets involved remain unknown. Russia has been using gas production platforms in the Black Sea for military purposes. These platforms are used to deploy troops, install small radar systems for monitoring air and surface activity, signal relays for drones, and reconnaissance equipment to track the movements of Ukrainian forces. It is worth noting that a previous strike on Russian-occupied gas platforms took place on May the 19th. During that operation, the Neva radar, storage facilities, and a residential unit were destroyed. The operation, carried out by the 13th Main Directorate of the Military Counterintelligence Department of the Security Service of Ukraine, was conducted using both naval and aerial drones. Within a single special operation, the SSU specialists used two types of drones which demonstrated the effectiveness of working in tandem. We once again reminded the enemy that no Russian trash has a special place in the Black Sea, said the Security Service of Ukraine.